One of the previous verse of the days was Colossians chapter 3, verse 15. It said, "Let the peace that comes from Christ rule in your hearts. For as members of one body, you are called to live in peace. Always be thankful." Paul wrote this letter to the church in Colossae from prison around 62 AD. In context, Paul in this verse is telling the church in Colossae to live in harmony with one another. He briefly mentions in the chapter that the purpose of this book was to address false teaching that distorted doctrines about Christ's rule and the believer's identity in Christ. So the purpose of him writing this letter to the church in Colossae, which is now known as the book of Colossians, was to address false doctrine, false teachings that were distorting the key doctrines of what Jesus has done for us and what his purpose is now at the right hand of God the Father in heaven, and our identity in him. The false teachings were distorting these important doctrines. So that was his purpose of writing the book. But seeing as false doctrines had infiltrated the church, he was making sure that they remain in harmony with one another, because there would have been different races and different people from cultural backgrounds in this church, right? So he was making sure that they remained united, because in other churches, what Satan had done was caused false doctrines to cause the believers in that church to be divided. So he was just making sure that the false doctrines didn't cause them to be divided as well. So he was being proactive, right? He was just bringing it up, making sure that they remain in harmony. But the way in which that he was proposing they remain in harmony was letting God's peace, Christ's peace, rule in their hearts. So the key to believers today being in harmony with one another is having Christ's peace in our hearts, right? And it makes sense, because someone that lacks peace is miserable, right? They are miserable, they are destructive, they cause division. So the key to believers having unity is to have Christ's peace rule in our hearts, and God's peace surpasses all understanding. Today, we could suffer division because of race, because of different theological persuasions, but the important thing is that no matter what may cause us to be divided, that we have Christ's peace and we address these issues with grace and humility and with the power of God. So on this note, I just want to close by telling you all that if you lack God's peace, Jesus said in John 14:27, "Peace I leave with you." That's what Jesus said. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Jesus has left peace with us, and we just have to have faith and receive that peace by God's amazing grace and love. He wants to give us peace, right? But we just have to accept it. He has already left it with us. We have to have faith and surrender our hearts to him to receive that peace. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not let it be afraid. Need I say more? We have God's peace that surpasses all understanding. So whatever is bothering us, let us lay it at the foot of the cross. Let us lay it at the throne of the Father and leave it in God's hands and ask Christ to give us his peace, which he has already given. We just need to accept it. We need to let it into our hearts. We need to surrender our hearts for it to come in. So on that note, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.